Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you as we have central Minnesota under the gun for a line of storms heading through the Brainerd Lakes area. An active tornado warning is the major change since the last time we spoke. This tornado warning is just moving out of the Little Falls area. Doppler radar indicated. We're going to go over that. Some severe storms heading into Minneapolis right now. Big Gopher game going on. We'll get you the latest on the timing. And another tornado warning just issued down in south central parts of Minnesota. These storms are moving off to the east-northeast. They're moving at about 35 to 40 miles per hour, some even moving at 50 miles per hour. Let's get to the latest right now as we take a look at the radar. So here's what you need to know. If you want to comment, question, if you have any questions at all, Hutch's Weather is all about being interactive. I'm trying to monitor the best I can all my platforms that we're streaming on right now. So thanks for joining me on Facebook. Thanks for joining me on the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on YouTube now or follow me on Facebook. Let's get right to it. The latest on the radar showing up right now as we sneak into the Little Falls area. This storm segment here has what we call this backward C shape or a bowing line of thunderstorms. That bowing along the leading edge of that bow, we can sometimes get spin ups. They usually don't last a ton of time, but there is one indicated as it's worked its way along the line. Usually we find this particular type of tornado on the apex of the bow. The apex is where it bends the most and sprawls out, is right in this area. So that's likely where we have the tornadic activity. We'll look a little bit closer, but I want to go ahead and highlight the details of the tornado warning that you see. If you are in Hillman, if you're anywhere basically east of the Lastrop area, that's where the tornado is. It's moving off to the north and east. Look at the speed of movement. Northeast, 53 miles per hour on the latest update from the National Weather Service. And again, the warning is in effect until 4 o'clock Central Time. There's some hail potential with this cell as well, about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So now let's take a look at some of the radar data that we have available to us. Let's go to the single site data and let's go to the closest radar out there that we can find. That'll be in the Minneapolis area. So let's get tuned into that radar here, shall we? Making sure that I'm logged into that one. Okay, so here is a look at the latest radar data for that particular storm. It looks like I'm running out of the range here, so I'll go to the closest radar. Excuse me. I think I need to turn my radar sights on here, so we'll go to the next rad and see the sights. And turn those puppies on. There we go. Okay, now I can turn them on. Sorry about that delay. Now, from Chanhassen, let's take a look at that particular radar site and look at what's going on heading toward the Twin Cities. A couple of active tornado warnings right now. We're going to zoom in on this one. We're going to look at velocities here. The spin. The radar's looking at the clouds. We can tell whether the wind is blowing towards or away from the radar site. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now as we look at the base velocity product. Now, what we're looking for is greens next to reds. We do see a little pocket of it right here. Let me go back in time just a pinch on the timeline from this, and we can maybe see what was happening with this cell as it started out. So along that leading edge there, it's moving into that the Vineland area there. It looks like it's really, really close to the big lake out here, Mille Lacs. So it's heading in that general direction toward the western shores of Big Mille Lacs Lake. Some very weak shear showing up at this present time. Let me go ahead and look at one more product here, and we'll look at the storm relative velocity to see. It's going to factor in the motion of the storm. And what we're noticing here is the activity we're seeing moving just outside of the warned area. And again, it's pushing in on the western shores of Mille Lacs, so near the Vineland area, moving on Highway 169 going around the lake. So if you're in the path of this storm, seek shelter, get to the lowest floor, get out of things like manufactured homes, mobile homes, your RV or camper, and get to a sturdy structure out there. Now let's go ahead and take a peek at the same storm system to the south. Look at Brainerd Lakes area too. A new severe thunderstorm warning issued for you. While we're here, let's take a peek at that. That storm showing some signs of rotation right on this leading edge right here. Do you see that bright red next to the bright green? There is some spin, and again, it's on one of the apex of those outflows from the thunderstorms there, our Boeing line segment. That's moving toward the Garrison area right now. So let's see what the National Weather Service says about this particular warning. I'm going to have to pause it so we can read the details. Number one, it's until 5 o'clock this afternoon, moving northeast at 41 miles per hour. It's a Doppler radar indicated storm with hail up to 1 inch in diameter. There's no mention of the tornado risk at this particular time, but that's one thing to watch real closely. A couple of these storms on the Boeing line segments, gusty straight line winds will be that main threat, hail and winds, but there is the chance that some of these severe thunderstorms can quickly produce tornadoes with little notice. Let's go ahead and take a look at the reflectivity again. So that's the storm heading through the Brainerd Lakes area. It's making its way towards the north shores of Mille Lacs, heading towards Crosby. Crosby and Aitkin hit very hard by tornadic storms earlier in the summer months. Now let's go down to this storm south of the metro area of the Twin Cities. These storms blasting along the Iowa line just north of Interstate 90 down here, moving northeast. This is the tornado warning storm moving in towards New Ulm and the Nicollet area. Let's take a look at this. That's not a special weather statement. This is something a little bit more significant than that. It's a tornado warning until 4:15 p.m. It's moving northeast at 21 miles per hour, and the tornado is radar indicated. There could be some straight line winds with this storm as well in places, and 3/4 inch diameter hail possible from this storm. Now the hail core is right over Media. Medelia, right here where you see the blues in that. That's the hail core. We have a leading surge, and again, we have this kind of backward C shape here right behind my shoulder blade, and that is what is going to be that Boeing line segment. That's heading right, not far from you folks in Crystal Lake. Let's look at the velocities with this part of the storm here and see what we can see with the base velocity product. Now, this is looking from Chanhassen to the north and to the east. So what we've got, green, wind toward the radar. Red, there is your rotating couplet right there. Let's see if it exists at more than just the lowest elevation angle scan. Yep, it's there, and it's even more prominent with brighter reds and brighter greens next to each other on the next scan up. Does it continue as we go up in higher scans? You betcha. So the lower part of this thunderstorm is spinning. It does not necessarily mean a tornado is on the ground. This is Doppler indicated, but I can take a look now at the National Weather Service forecast office and see if I'm seeing any information there from the folks at Chanhassen rather, and see what they have on the latest messages there as I'm in contact with them. So it does look like they're looking at the same thing we are. The pink area is a tornado warning, and essentially no reports as of this particular time, which is good. There is some tight circulation there, Medelia, and that's what they're issuing the warning for. So that is what's going on with this particular storm. Now that we have the details on that, let's go ahead and take a look at this movement and how far it is away from Cortland. So that'll be the next major community as it's moving off to the north and east. I'll loop it for you. So watch the little red pixels there. This is spin in the upper levels of the storm. And as we let this play through, you're going to see it moving along this boundary right here. So here's where it started, not far from Medelia. Here's where one was. There was one rotation right there. This is the stronger one right now. It's moving over Highway 15. It's south of New Ulm right now, and it's moving toward the Highway 68 corridor right here in the Cortland area. Cortland, you are right in the direct path of this particular tornadic storm, so you should be seeking shelter in an interior room. And again, you're in Lakes Country in these general areas out there. You're in the southern areas just south of the Twin Cities. And anywhere in these areas, it gets hard to see with all of the trees you have. You know what I'm talking about here. So it's hard to see this coming. You can have rain, you can have wind punching in, but there is a pretty well-defined rotation in this cell as it moves towards Cortland. If you happen to be in a camper, an RV, a mobile or manufactured home, something that is not secured to a foundation securely, get out of a place like that and seek shelter in a more sturdy structure. So that is a look at what we have going on. These storms are on their way toward the Twin Cities right now. Let's go back to the reflectivity look. We'll give you a look. If you are in the Twin Cities, we have some very windy storms now moving through Mound. These are moving off to the east right now. And there is an active severe thunderstorm warning for the Minneapolis area, particularly Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the western suburbs. Let's go ahead and pause the looping on this and take a look. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, and that warning is in effect until 4:30 Central Time. Moving east at 40 miles per hour. Here we have this backward C shape again. And even if you are not in the warned area, do you see this backward C shape by Delano and off toward the Corcoran area and the I-94 corridor, just to the northwest of the metro area? That's windy segment of the storm as well. Here it is. It's moving in the general direction of the Twin Cities. You see this little area right here? This has my concern. Near Cologne, something smells a little fishy near Cologne. Let's take a look. What that looks like to Hutch is called a hook echo. See how it looks like a fish hook right there? Sometimes we get some spin in the cloud, and when there's spin in the updraft, the rotation can throw the raindrops and hailstones out and away, and it leaves this weaker area of reflectivity, which is in the green. So it's like a bite taken out of the storm right there. Kind of a classic looking hook echo. So what Hutch is going to do is I'm going to look at the velocity display on that, look at the lower elevation scan here. Now we're back down to the ground. Let's take a look at the velocity and see if in this area, no, we got pretty much unidirectional winds showing up at this layer. So that's a very, very good sign. How fast is the wind blowing? The radar has a great view into this storm. It's moving right toward the radar. And because of that, the radial velocity, which is what the Doppler radar can measure, that's the wind right toward the radar. If the wind is blowing across the radar beam, it's not going to give us a real exact estimate of the wind speed. We have to do trigonometry and math to figure that nonsense out. But if you can look right into the beam and this is blowing right towards Chanhassen right now, we should get a good estimate of what the wind speeds are with this particular system. So with that, let's take a look at these brighter green shades here. And we're looking at 45 to 55 mile per hour winds measured just off the surface. So this is a very strong thunderstorm wind that we're seeing just off the ground. Now, that doesn't mean everywhere is getting the stronger winds. The neat thing about Doppler radar is that we can see where the stronger winds are, and that is right along Highway 5 near Victoria and along Highway 7 near St. Bonifacius, as well as Shorewood, heading into Shorewood. So the Chanhassen area going to see some strong winds. If we look out here near Cologne, we got some pretty stout winds. Remember, the farther we get away from the radar site, the radar beam's pointed up at an angle, so it gets a little higher and higher off the ground. So this doesn't mean we're looking at winds that are measured at the surface, but it does mean gusty wind will be a part of this storm. Do you see this backward C shape to the red on the backside? How fast is that wind blowing? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So as we look on this side of the storm system here, there's gusts of wind blowing outbound away from the radar. Here's the leading gust front that's moving in through Minnetonka and Eden Prairie right now. And that gust front is showing areas where the wind is exceeding 45, 50 miles per hour moving through Eden Prairie. So batten down the hatches in the Minneapolis area, Eden Prairie, heading out toward the 494 loop on the southwest side of town, Edina. You want to batten down the hatches, make sure that lawn furniture is secured, and get the car out from under trees. This is going to be a gusty line segment working its way through. See this backward C shape here, an outflow boundary showing up down near the New Prague area rather. And as you look, you can see that this radar beam, when it points down here, is going to point across the wind. These winds are from west to east, and this is measuring the wind that's blowing toward the radar or toward the north. You're not going to measure much wind blowing toward the north. So we can't get a real good measurement with the Doppler radar here. But just because of the shape, this backward C shape, Hutch can tell you that if you're in New Prague or out towards Elko, Prior Lake, you're going to see some pretty gusty winds as well. The severe thunderstorm warning for the Minneapolis, St. Paul area and the western suburbs of the Twin Cities looks like this. So let me go ahead and pause this for a second so I can take a look at the warning. It's basically in effect until 4:30, as mentioned. 3/4 inch diameter hail, 60 mile per hour wind gusts are the impact of that storm. And I do know that there is a big game taking place there. I'm looking up some details on that game right now as we speak. So that's why my eyes are wandering. I beg your pardon and thank you very much for your patience. I'm not sure what time the Gophers play. The Gophers game schedule for tonight is going to be North Carolina. Those Tar Heels are in town 7 p.m. The good news is I am prognosticating that this line will be making its way through. Now the Gopher Stadium out there in the Minneapolis area, out over here on the other side of Minneapolis, right over here across the river, and you're looking at that system making its way through now. But there's more on the way behind this as we take a look at the reflectivity. Switching this back, boom, and look at this. We got this other batch of storms that's moving its way down to the south. Now, is this moving toward the metro? The northern part of it is. The southern part of it's moving straight along and north of Interstate 94 toward Albert Lee and Owatonna. So there is a chance at some more thunderstorms making their way into the metro area, the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, as we go toward the late evening hours. Let me see if I can get a measurement tool out here, and we'll measure just how far away these storms are from the Minneapolis area, and in particular, the core of the city, the heart of the city, which is where the Gopher Stadium is. Now, as we take a look at this line here that I've drawn, it's 80 miles away. How fast are these storms moving? Let me see. I'll lock that in. Boom. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to measure how fast, or ask the storms here, what's the average speed of these storms? 24 miles per hour. I'm seeing this tornado warning storm is about the same. Let me just double check this as I zoom in. Turn that off. Okay, so let's zoom in and get a measurement of this storm here. I got to turn my line measuring tool off again. There we go. Now let's take a look at the measurement of this storm here moving towards Nicolette Gaylord. That's moving northeast at at 25 miles per hour. It's 80 miles away, 3 hours away yet. It can speed up. So let's say 2.5 hours. You add that to this time, you're looking at about 6:40. 6:40, they'll be moving in. Game time, 7 o'clock. So near game time, if this cluster of storms continues to blast its way up toward the Twin Cities, there'll be a chance of some more thunderstorm activity about game time from this nonsense down here by Interstate 90 as we head into it. Now, we do have some severe thunderstorms in central parts of Iowa. I see it east of the Sioux City area, severe thunderstorm warning as we look at the Ida Grove area and Denison. This would be south of the Sioux Rapids area in Spencer, Iowa, and off to the west of the Des Moines area. Let me switch over to the Des Moines area radar here, and we'll take a look at DMX and see what they have to say about this particular storm. Moving to the north and east, here's some areas that are in the under the impact of the storm. Let me move these this town list to where you can actually see it. Okay, so it's moving towards Chiron about 4:20, Arthur about the 4:31 time frame, and on towards Nemaha about 5 p.m. So that's a severe storm. Hail is going to be the main risk from that cell as it works its way to the northeast. It could be 3/4 inch diameter hail and 60 mile per hour gusts. So now a quick look at the nation, what we have going on. For that, I'm going to go to a different radar view here so we can see all of the radars kind of mingled together and see what's going on across the lower 48. A lot of college football going on tonight as things are getting started, and look at the big storm system moving through the northern plains right now. We have activity in the Gulf Coast states right now. We have the Rocky Mountains seeing a smattering of storms on the western slopes, but the eastern plains looking pretty good until we get out towards Kansas and Wichita Falls out in that area. Amarillo, Panhandle of Texas, seeing some showers and storms at the base of this long line of thunderstorm activity. So we do have that across the nation. Otherwise, quiet in the Pacific Northwest, quiet across much of the Great Lakes region. We're seeing out here in the Ohio River Valley some showers and thunderstorms, some of which are severe to the south and to the east of you folks in Pittsburgh, Harrisonburg. We're seeing some storms in that general vicinity that are warned for. The little yellow circles that you see around these areas, those are severe storms out there. North of Cumberland, a severe thunderstorm. We have some near Harrisonburg right now, moving into the Harrisonburg area as we speak. So in these areas, a healthy hail up to around 3/4 of an inch in diameter, but gusty wind, the main threat, upwards of 60 miles per hour from these storms. If you're in Richmond, well, we do have some showers and thunderstorms there. Ashland, this blue, by the way, is a weather statement from the National Weather Service in your area. That weather statement is saying that this is a pretty strong cell. It's moving actually to the north and to the west as we head into the evening hours. This is not a warned storm. Let me show you. It's just a statement that says we could expect. Look at how slow this puppy's moving. 5 miles per hour. I can walk faster than that. Believe me, Hutch has long legs. I can walk. Now, as we take a look at that, gusty winds to around 40 miles per hour. And we're talking about 1/2 inch diameter hail from that cell in the Richmond, Virginia area. That's a look at that area. Roanoke, you got some storms to the south of you. Moving down to the south and east are those storms towards the southern portions of Virginia out there. As we look down towards Georgia, Macon, some strong thunderstorms there. They're not severe at this time. That's why there's those blue circles right around this area, Macon, Georgia. Ooh, Tallahassee, we got some Panhandle of Florida activity. And look at Tampa right now. We got some wind gusts that have been measured in and around the area. Local storm report there of a 46 mile per hour gust out there from the ASOS station south of Tampa and in the St. Pete, Bradenton area right now. So those are some windy thunderstorms. Where are they moving? What way are they moving? Let me go ahead and loop the radar here. I'll load it up just momentarily. We can see, oh, they're moving to the north then along the coast, heading out toward the waters out there near Largo and Holiday. So they'll be moving offshore as often is the case where we get that nice little land sea breeze set up going out there off the land and over the warmer ocean as we head into the evening hours. That's what's going on there in the peninsula of Florida. Look at the Mississippi Delta down here. New Orleans seeing showers and storms as a very wet weather moving through Alexandria and parts of northern and central Louisiana right now, and the hills of Texas up north and east of Houston. We're seeing some of that near Lufkin. So that's what we got going on across the nation. Again, the Twin Cities seeing a line of strong storms that are indeed severe in a few areas. Here's a look at the latest watches across the nation. And we have a thunderstorm watch for parts of Iowa. We have a thunderstorm watch for parts of central and eastern Minnesota. We have a thunderstorm watch that's been issued for parts of Pennsylvania, south central on into the northern reaches of Virginia. and the DC metro area as well. Other than that, there's not a lot of severe thunderstorm or other watches in place right now. That's a look at your weather. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. If severe weather strikes your area, you can get the latest by visiting my website, hutchesweather.com. I really appreciate you liking the videos if you like what you saw here. And also, give me a follow on Facebook. Subscribe on my YouTube channel to get notifications. But you know what else you can do? You can go to hutchesweather.com, check out that website. And on that website, there's a place for you to sign up right at the top of it that allows you to get, well, notifications from good old Hutch right here of when weather is making its way into your neck of the woods. So hutchesweather.com, sign up for email notifications. I'm not selling your email address. I will only contact you in the worst of situations. I think I've sent out 3 or 4 here in the last month, so it's not something I overuse. Interactive radar is right there on your screen, and you can also scroll down and upload your photos, videos, and reports right here on hutchesweather.com. Until next time, stay tuned to me, meteorologist Hutch Johnson, signing out. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe.